It's a big welcome to 2022 Talking Hawks, our second show for the year. If you're joining us for the first time, we just are passionate about Hawthorn Football Club, all teams. We have a team that just love getting around the Hawks, and we just love having a bit of intelligent footy conversation, a few laughs. And it's pre-season, so I've got Reese with me here tonight. I'm Matt. Reese, how you going?
I'm good, thanks, mate. The off-season specialist that I am. I think everyone at the Hawks have come back in better nick than I have, but I'm looking forward to getting stuck into it.
You've been working hard at that. And, so I think the boys have been working hard at their off-season stuff too. So, look, we've had some interesting results, let's say. We had a big draw against the Pies with the preseason. But tonight, we're going to look at a few things. Let us know in the chat where you're tuning in from tonight. Thanks for joining us. So, we're through the season regulars and keen to just, consume all things Hawthorn. And tonight we're going to look at, the Pracky match, 6 quarters. We had a bit of a Sam Mitchell brainchild there with Craig McRae, former Hawks assistant. And we want to look at the young players. Any insights from the game, those that went, let us know. Keen to get your thoughts. Bit of a look at the depth. We had some Box Hill players joining that team, the squad. It was a big squad. But returning players, no injuries, which was great. But, let us know where you're tuning in from tonight. Any questions, throw them out there. We would love to hear your thoughts on the Hawks this year, and we are all set. So, Reese, you got down there. How was the drive, mate?
Well, I didn't drive. Shout out to fellow Talking Hawks alumni with Smithy there, who very kindly drove me down. And I think the two main takeaways is that it didn't rain and we didn't have any injuries, which is always a good start. But getting down there, I mean, it was the second time I'd been, to see the Hawks live since the end of 2019. Of course, we know what's happened in the 2 previous years, but we were lucky enough to get to Silk's 400th game last year at Marvel Stadium. And then to see the Hawks again, albeit with not the result we wanted with the seniors, but just a fantastic experience, and more so a fantastic experience for Morwell to get the kind of exposure on that ground. Gippsland Power's home ground as well. So the drive down there was probably better than the drive back, if I'm being completely honest, given what we might talk about. But I think we do need to remember it is just a pracky game, but we will be reacting to it as we see it, mate. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, brilliant, mate. The commitment for fans to get down, it's amazing. You mentioned Sean Burgoyne got down the club. They've managed to get us a few signatures. So there's a Shawnee in his last year. We've got a bit of a ball with some Indigenous players from last year with Bergs. So look, we'll work that out during the year who that might find its way to. But keen to get the fans around the club this year. So who have we got here, mate? John. G'day, mate. Thanks for joining us. Justin, champion. Hello, Kev. Amazing. We've got yes, mate. Welcome. You might get a little bit one-way traffic here tonight with the Hawks. Bear with us. If you've got some constructive stuff, we're really open to honest communication, feedback, and the like. So, but look, Reese, you got down there, big effort. For mine, first and foremost, 6 quarters. What did you make of that as a bit of an experiment? Fans, let us know your thoughts if you got down there on the actual game and your questions from the game. But Reese, 6 quarters.
I don't think the whole 6 periods, quarters, whatever we wanted to call them, was the issue. I think playing them for 34 minutes, I think, was the not a problem per se, but I know they split up the VFL and the AFL game, which you could argue was absolutely necessary to do. But 6 quarters or 6 periods of 20 minutes would have still got you the 2 hours of footy, albeit we wouldn't have had the amazing comeback that we did circa 99 against the Saints at Waverley. However, I think for some fans, especially those that had driven, as far down as, well, not that I did, but as far down as we did, it might have been a little bit of a grind, perhaps. But credit to all the fans that stuck around. There was still plenty there at the conclusion of the game. Probably would have loved to see it 20 minutes each, but, we're not here to complain. With the amount of footy that we've all missed in the last 2 years, I think we can put up with an extra hour of footy.
Yeah, look, brilliant to have it on KO. And Gilly, mate, Talking Hawks friend, thanks for your commentary. It was hard watching, if I'm really honest, the first 3 quarters, 3/6. but I'll call it quarters. And I think probably a definitive thing for mine was just saying that I was glad you were down there, noting when the Collingwood senior players remove themselves from the ground, largely at that 3-quarter mark. Hawks continue to have some senior players on. So, I mean, we've ended up 141 apiece. That talks to great depth. And the young fellas really gave it a shake, which is brilliant to see get back. Love Fergus Green, not just for his name's sake, but to really show some spark and Dooch and others from the Box Hill boys. It's a nice initiative to show the strength and the depth between the two clubs and the alignment. So, Reece, any thoughts on, I guess, overall, let's call it this. Let's start with the second half. Let's do this in reverse.
Yeah, let's do it. So I think the most impressed person Hawthorn related would have been Clint Proctor. I think he would have absolutely looked at the list VFL wides that he's got, and he's going to be really impressed. I think the way that, if we're talking VFL sides here, the way that we bullied Collingwood around the contest, the way that they largely did to us, especially for those first two quarters, was simply outstanding. And we looked a lot more dynamic, chipping the ball inside 50 instead of putting it on the forwards' heads. And there's a little bit of, are we really talking about this again? And yeah, there is and there isn't. If anyone's commenting going, guys, it's just a pracky match, I can understand where you're coming from. But, as far as our VFL system goes, I mean, there's a reason why, Box Hill and us have been one of the more successful franchises in this, iteration of the VFL, is because we continue to bring this depth, this hard-edged, and it almost doesn't matter who's in charge because of the culture of the club that we've got. So Clint Proctor's walking away going, we rebounded from defense, okay, but around the contest, which is what Sam Mitchell has said he wants to win this year in the seniors, the VFL have got a great base there, other VFL sides, because we bullied Collingwood around the contest and we look dynamic up forward, which is what we can only hope the seniors can bring. So a huge, huge, huge tick to the VFL players, even if maybe the Collingwood guys didn't get out of first gear. But as far as I'm concerned, as soon as the margin turned into 3 goals and it was a winnable game, everyone goes to 100. We had the momentum and ended up steamrolling them. We just didn't have an extra 30 seconds.
Yeah. Nice recap. I think with Proc, it'll be interesting to see how much he continues to carry on the game plan from Sammy from last year. And clearly there's an alignment. I think there's 12 to 14 odd players from Box Hill from last season that have continued on. So there's a lot of new blood with Box Hill. And how many of those, I didn't do my homework on that for this game, joined in this match in particular. It'd be interesting to look, we hope, Clint, if you're on, if you see this, can't wait to have you on. Join us, have a bit of a chat and let us know. Very well spoken. Love what you've done with the club in terms of the mental health and all that sort of jazz. Proc cares for his lads, for his boys, for his squad. So it's been great with seeing out of Box Hill what they've produced with their media. I think that will continue the alignment strongly. So, look, I have no reason. I've not heard anything that makes me think Proc will sort of deviate and get his own game plan. I do believe he will probably take a few notes from Sammy from last year. And the attacking game, really, if you didn't have an attacking game plan, we weren't getting back in those last 3 quarters.
Yeah, we had to risk losing by 150 points in order to get back. And we did that, and there is, a pretty big place sort of, in my head that's going, if only we could do that in the seniors. Is that because of the amount of scrutiny that's on an AFL list? Is there, you're so more easily punished on the rebound, which Collingwood did to us even when we played, maybe a bit passively anyway. There's a big argument to be had that there are some senior boys, I think, would have watched that VFL system and thinking either A, I wish we could play like that, or B, are going to play like that, because I think with not necessarily that game, but if there are habits that we're going to bring into the senior side that we saw a little bit at Morwell and hopefully we don't see down in Tassie, which we'll talk about sort of at the end, there are going to be some concerning signs. So for any of those VFL boys and for Clint Proctor, you get the biggest of ticks from us, and I'm looking forward to us covering them like we do the seniors this year, because it's going to be a really fun ride to be on.
Absolutely. Look, and if we all take a step back, yes, some good comments here. Yes, it is a practice match, But no doubt there's coaching panels that have been assembled now that are trying new things. They're looking at new combinations of players. They're looking at what's the chemistry, game plan, what do they execute. There's a whole raft of things. Fitness. There's some that have been conditioned back from injury. So there's so many things going on in a game plan. But look, we're all passionate, hungry AFL Hawks fans looking. We're eager. It's been a few years since we've won. Just a reminder, like I was in a Waverley the other day. I couldn't help myself. I took a photo of the cabinet there. It was pretty inspiring seeing. Sorry, this is really bad, but that many cups. Like there's 13 there, people. We've done all right, but we are a little bit deprived right now. So Sammy's, I'm sure he's concocting the next plan to get us there. But look, I think we should have a tail up with the youngsters and the boys from Box Hill that really in that second half drove it home. Before we go on, I guess for mine, Fergus Green finishing it off. Hats off to you, sir. Really look forward to his contribution. Sad that Dooch is not training with the Hawks ongoing. So for me, that looks like Hawks are probably going to put the cue in the rack and look at that final spot being sorted mid-season. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not like we have to take someone as well. It's kind of an insurance policy. And if we've got a massive standout, we'll take them. Yeah, it would have been great to see the big Vince on the list, but the club, they know better than we do with these kind of things. And I'm sure that once we hit the mid-season draft, if there's someone that the Hawks love, we'll happily bring them on board. But we're not attacking the mid-season draft to get the last piece, you could say, circa a Richmond with Marlon Pickett or anything like that. So it's good to have up our sleeve, and there's no real downside to it, I don't think. And, it might be Dooch. If he continues to dominate throughout the year, he's going to be around the club. He's going to be around the system. Is he really going to miss out that much if he's not on the list for an extra 5 months? Probably not, if we're being honest. So I don't see a downside to it at this stage.
I think his energy from all that we've seen is amazing around the club. Everyone loves him. So the Hawks gave Callow the opportunity to train pre-season. He took that on board, trained the house down, and showed that he took the feedback on and worked some things into his game. And look, he's on the list. So. Brooke, we'll check out a few fan questions now, Reece. So Fergus, yes, I was a little surprised that clubs didn't. Maybe there were some inquiries. I don't know, but I think he's got what it takes to, at an AFL level, make a good contribution. Conor McDonald, 100%. We'll get to that, Brooke. But Fergus, any thoughts, Reece?
First thing that I want to give him is huge props. The one thing you can't teach anyone in this sport, not one single person can you teach footy IQ. When he kicked that second last goal, grabbed the footy and sprinted back to the centre, old school footy sports style, massive tick. So footy IQ's there. I mean, he's shown footy IQ in the VFL. The more you've watched of him, the more you'll know. But I think he's the kind of guy, considering that in the AFL, we don't have a short kicking mark style, seems to be going out of the game. 6 of the top 8 teams last year were the 6 longest kicking teams in the league. So if you're assessing forwards, like I think we absolutely need to be doing, you need to be asking yourself, can they win one-on-one contests and are they effective on the ground? You look at a guy like Ben Brown, really effective in the air. That's why he works at Melbourne, and he can make up for his lack of ability when the ball hits the deck with, a beautiful kicking style and all those things, even if it takes him 3 hours to get there. But
it's not a lack of air.
But Fergie's got both. He's good in the air. He's good on the ground. He's a crafty kind of a player. I actually see him as like a better version of what the Dogs tried to do with Mitch Wallace a couple of years ago. And the worrying thing about that is Mitch didn't play last year for the Doggies. So is his kind of player in huge demand? I'm not sure. But talent-wise, he ticks all the boxes.
Yep. And David, well done. Definitely the last 2 goals. Amazing. Nice to just get... I'm satisfied with the draw. I was pissed. No, sorry. I was annoyed.
Well,
that
family-friendly show, buddy.
Sorry. I've just got so much pent-up Hawthorn fan support going on. When we drew last year in the final game against the Tigers. Anyway, So, look, it was nice to get up for a draw. Happy with an amazing, was it 82 points, was it? We were down?
84, 14 goals straight, yeah.
Yeah, so incredible effort. Sorry, kiddies, if you're on the line, but I'll take the rap there. So, look, really happy. And for me, one thing that is a concern, and it's a positive and a negative, in the first half, the midfield forward connection, we weren't quite there, but we'll get to the first three quarters in a moment. Second half, the fact that we've come back that much, amazing. So what does that say? And I love that there was a lot of energy, a lot of contribution from the young players. And I'm just wondering how much of that is building from last season and a core of Box Hill players that perhaps do know a bit of a game plan and are really aligned, because that's as much for mine, leadership on the field, it's execution of training, your different sixes, your different sections of the ground, and having everyone aligned when you're looking to move that ball. So, thoughts?
I see where you're coming from, and yeah, the pride in me is satisfied with the draw. But yeah, once we start talking about these first three quarters, I think the problem that we've got, and I think why a lot of people are going to go, it's just a pracky match, is the things that stand out when you're down by 11 goals when Collingwood take their seniors off the ground is the positives get almost washed away in a sense. And I do want to touch on them. There were positives there and things that we can look forward to and all of these amazing things. But yeah, I agree with you. We did a complete 180 when it was a lesser group via lesser group. And yeah, it'll sound like I'm repeating myself with the credit that the VFL guys deserve. But yeah, I think we need to react, but not overreact kind of needs to be the theme, I think, when we talk about this game. So it would be silly for us to say nothing. It would be silly for us to do what seemingly all the AFL journos are and putting this bottom two, which is frankly ridiculous. So if we can fit somewhere in the middle of that spectrum, I think we're going to be fine.
Yeah. I realize how much of a stats nut I am, and like not having stats on this game drove me nuts. Really did. Yeah. Glad to see Bramble and Newcomb make a great contribution. Bramble in that first part was looking just swish as. It's like just put the ball in this boy's hands. Preseason under the belt, Newcomb again, flexing, really putting his hand up. Very impressed. Talking Hawks, we do sponsor a couple of players. You can do that through the club. We've got a bit of a syndicate group for those that are joining us for the first time. We're going again, so if you're on board, thank you. Brooke, others that are involved tonight, please, we want to roll again and have Talking Hawks up there, just sort of supporting a few players, putting some funds into the club. But yeah, just I was stoked to see Nuke put his hand up that high. And we'll get to the younger players shortly. But any thoughts on those two fans? Brace.
Huge tick for Bramble. I remember we talked last year when Blake Hardwick took down Lincoln McCarthy in the Brisbane game, how good the number 15 jersey transfer was from Hodgie to Dimmer. Can we start talking about Isaac Smith to Lockie Bramble at 16 here for a moment? Because it's just genuinely outstanding. It blows my mind just how good that's turned out. And he is everything that I think we kind of hoped for and more, thriving under the system. His feet work quicker than his brain, which sounds a bit of an insult. I promise you it's not. The reason why that is good is the worst thing that you can do going inside 50 is be predictable, because you've got, so many good defenses in this competition. When Bramble takes a mark on the wing, he is just going to turn and go. I don't think he knows what getting back on his mark actually means, which is exciting, which is absolutely exciting. Run 20, kick 40. This is a guy that can run 20 and kick 50, 55. And with the win in a couple of passages, I reckon he kicked at 60, which is outstanding. Massive tick. Loved what I saw.
Yep. Brilliant. We will touch on a few things from the fans here. So, look, we won't spend too much time on this, but look, we are in a new era. There is the decision that has been made, Clarko and the club. And look, whether fans are excited or not, I think in a favourite son in Sam Mitchell, when push come to shove and there was a decision that was made, it's something that we can look to get behind, as hard as it is and was. seeing Clarko's name being thrown around for other clubs and all of that, it hurts. But it's at the same time, I'm like, I actually love the guy and would love to see him do really well and come back in and make a big contribution because he's an ambassador for the game. And I think he's, that alignment with the Hawthorn Football Club for so many years to give him an opportunity and him prove himself and again and again and again. And again, 4 times. It's quite amazing. So the utmost respect for Clarko, not washing over anything, but I look, we don't want to get into the politics too much here and now. We're looking at the club going forward this year, but yeah.
I think the easiest way that we can put it is that Mitchell being our senior coach was always going to happen. And as much as we can lament the way that it happened, and every fan's got the right to be as upset on the 1 to 10 spectrum, if you want to do it like that, you've got every right to feel that way. But, getting on here or, other things of media and going, we've completely gotten it wrong, if that's the storyline that fans want to go down, unfortunately, we can't change it. And sure, reacting to it is fine, but nothing we say is going to bring Clarko back. I think we just need to embrace what Sam does, and by all means, you can be unhappy about Clarko's departure all you want. I wasn't happy when it happened, but as far as I'm concerned, Sam Mitchell is our coach. Do I believe he can take us the next step? I absolutely do, and in the background, I'll look at it like, I wish we had handled it better. I wish it could have been at the end of the year. I wish it could have been, at a different time. And if I could get in my time machine, Hawks fans, I'd do it in an instant. Unfortunately, we can't. We're looking at a practice game in Morwell. We're looking at a 2022 and hope we perform better. And if we happen to face Clarko in a final, well, every media journalist can froth over that for the week. So I think it's as simple as that. I don't think anyone was extremely happy with the way it happened. But yeah, I don't think it's going to do us any good sitting here and going, was it the right call? Was it the wrong call? The transition was correct. The timing was poor, and I think we move on from there.
Yeah, and no judgment to those that are holding on to Clarko and it was being a wrong decision or whatever your position is, fine. You're Hawthorn, we're family. So the fact that we are embarking on a new era, I do believe Mitchell is tenacious and obsessed and will have a lot of sleepless nights because he's a competitor. And I think that has been, is something that will hold the club in good stead. And the fact that he's got a pretty, I think I really like the assistant panel that he's put together, assistant coaches.
Oh, yeah.
The diversity of it. So we'll see. They need time to adjust. We've got a whole lot of new players. We've got young players that we're blooding still from last season. There's so many things that are going on that just need to be settled. So perspective. We're here for the long course. Long course. The club's bigger than any one person, any one player. So, enough said. Soapbox aside. So, Rachel,
when can we talk about Connor McDonald? I need to.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So, look, these young players. It was good to see Ward. It was good to see Long, McDonald.
Yep.
Yeah. So, shoot, fans. What are your thoughts? What did you like? I don't mind if it's one possession. If it's even if they're a little bit slower, there's obviously in the first game that's AFL, not just an intra-club, there's a speed adjustment that happens for all players when they first come into it at an AFL level. So if the thinking's right, the execution's not quite there, I'm like, plenty of time. For me, it's exciting that we've got all of these young kids out there. But what are your thoughts, fans?
I'll jump in here quickly because there's something that's sort of going around on social media that's really starting to annoy me. And this is the whole look at our rookies versus the Nick Dacos story, which is annoying because Dacos played the first quarter and a half on a halfback flank. Our two didn't do that. Josh Ward started on a wing, started in the middle and went from there. What I loved about both of them, massive tick, as different players as they are, their initial instinct once they get the footy is to take a step forward, which is something that we've been crying out for so long. This whole get the footy and look backwards thing is something we lamented last year, something we lamented at different points during 2020. If we're going to turn the footy over, every midfield does it, but turn it over going 40 metres forward, not 40 metres backwards. I get you got to transition and all these sorts of things in footy, but when you've got a clearance, it's 6v6 v6 for a reason. Get the footy, get it forward. Both of them did that. I honestly think McDonald's closer to a debut than Joshy Ward. Both of them are, obviously behind because of COVID. So they're under 18 years, were pretty affected. They didn't get, Dacos training at Hawthorn training at Collingwood, as long as Dacos did. So please, this rookie comparison thing, please stop it. That's the last I want to talk about Nick Dacos. But McDonald was fantastic. And yeah, Ned Long is the diamond in the rough that honestly wouldn't, structurally, the way that we line up could actually be the first debut of the lot. But all three of them look like they're doing what they're asked to do, which is fantastic. And I can't wait until we can look at this draft retrospectively. And I think we're going to get, as good a grade as we got on the night, which was a fantastic one.
Yeah, look, it's great. I loved getting the insight with Sicily, spending some time looking at recruitment, looking at kids. He rated Denver, who Talking Hawks are sponsors of, but also Butler, and seeing that sort of from the Hawks media team interview. It's great. So look, C-Mac does look good. So I 100% agree. He would be probably at this point, from everything we've seen, really someone I think they'd find hard to not include in round one. Butler looks good. Ward looks good. I think he's just given a little bit more time. I can see the IQ there. I can see the poise. I can see he's balanced. He's going to execute, and he's going to there's going to be a little bit of Sam Mitchell. Just I think give him time. Just how did he see that pass? I'm predicting here, Nostradamus, Hawthorn style here, but I think we're going to be really gobsmacked at some of the things Ward does with the talent and the IQ, because he's just a footy geek. And that's a Hawthorn supporter. He just doesn't get any better. But so exciting selections there, and good to see him getting some time. So look, enough on the second half. Fans, the first half. All right, we have to face up to this. It was a pracky match. All right, Reece, stay with me. Reece might need a timeout at some point, so bear with me.
No, I'll be good. I promise.
So look, slow start. Look, that what really hurt me, and I'll start with some negative. We'll look at some constructive observations. That midfield
very diplomatic.
That midfield dynamic chemistry, we need to nut that out. And I do know centre bounce. Tell us, fans, who you think was in there the most. I do have it. Ruckman, I know McAvoy was only in there for 3 centre bounces. So centre bounces not around the ground. Reeves was in there for 16, which is good sign. Chemistry-wise, but let me work backwards. So if you put your comments in, here we go. Ward for 2. McGuinness for 7. Nash, 10. Newcomb, 11. If you're tuning in, Hawks selection, that was a good call. Maybe some more. Jager, 11. Warple, 18. Mitchell, 19. So for mine, Tommy and Jager, I don't know. I don't think they had the foot on the gas in this game. It's a practice match. I can be understanding and appreciating that maybe they were trying different things, different positions, different combinations, all of that. Warps was very impressive.
Huge thing. Yep.
Very
massive. Couldn't agree more.
Not just his guns, not just his surfing prowess, mate. He was looking the goods on the turf. So Warple, please, more centre bounce opportunities around the ground. We'll work out those combos when there's more players around. It's a bit more crowded, but Nuke held his own in there. I like that they gave Nash more opportunity, and that's probably from last year when Sam threw it to him. What are we going to do? And Nash basically put his hand up and said, throw me in the middle. Let me play to my strengths. Let me run. Let me dash. Let me grab that ball. Go to the rugby roots. He's got the speed. So maybe we didn't see all of that in a practice match, but I like the opportunity to keep developing Nash. McGuinness, Not sure. Give him a chance, but I think he's look, I don't want to be negative, but you've got to be constructive here. And I was hoping for a bit more. So good to see Ward in there for a couple. But yeah, Brace midfield. What do you think? And fans, tell us what you think. What do we need to do in there?
First thing that I want to say about Connor Nash, there's no award for it, but if there was a most courageous player during this preseason, it would be Connor Nash calling Tom Mitchell out of consecutive boundary throw-ins on our side, because Titch was giving him a look like my beautiful partner gives me when I eat her leftovers. If I was Connor Nash, I would have folded like a cheap suit there, but no, he called him out. He bodied Jack Crisp a couple of times, and I'm going to talk about what Crisp did that really annoyed me in the tick, but Warple, massive tick. Yeah, I think Titch was going half-paced here. He got through it, and that's fantastic. But that third midfield spot is going to be the bane of my existence this year, I think, because the midfield that I kind of compare it to is St Kilda at the moment, and just hear me out, because we've got Mitchell, they've got Steele. So we've got the A-plus guy in there. We've got, Warple, and they've got, I don't think their second best midfielder is as good as Warple, but you've got your in and under, you've got your best midfielder, you've got your tough guy in there. And what both midfields lack is that X-factor class ball user, and that's where Chad Wingard comes in. So I think Chad's CBAs need to go through the roof, and I'll talk about what we do with Jaeger when we talk about the Richmond game, because I think it's a good way to debut what they need to do. But yeah, our midfield forward connection just gave me a bit of PTSD for the last couple of years. I do acknowledge that it's a pracky game, and Collingwood, I think, definitely handled the win better with their goal kicking and things like that. We gave them tough shots defensively, and they just hit everything. Nathan Kruger was playing like plug a locket in the second quarter, but yeah, our midfield is a worry. But like I said, I want to react and not overreact at this stage. So Titch got through it, tick. Warple, massive tick. And I think Wingard's got to be in there a whole lot more this year. And like I said, I'll touch on Jaeger in a tick. So the midfield is a worry, but I'm not panicking yet. That's probably the best way to put it.
And if we, again, step back for a moment, I think the depth is incredible right now. It's working out the chemistry, and that's what me personally, hyper-focused on. So, look, and Cody, I'll take that on the chin. I think we can see some more disposal improvement from Finn. And whether it's disposal or decision-making, time will tell. So, look, there's some incredible depth. I think is a good question, Luke. And Reece, to your point, I don't personally put Titch as an A+ right now. Maybe an A, maybe an A-. He's not the Brownlow Titch, and just disposal efficiency. I'm going to be a harsh critic, but that's where he needs to step up to get there. Hands on ball, amazing, but. Yeah,
his disposal efficiency was so similar to his Brownlow year, and it depends on the guys he's feeding it out to. I'm sorry, but if Titch is getting 8 clearances a game and Chad's getting 6 inside 50s, Chad delivering to Mitch Lewis and Jacob Kaczynski, there's no reason why Titch couldn't go higher on that leaderboard. The man had 20 Brownlow votes last year. I understand that Titch getting the ball on a halfback flank from a cheap short pass and then kicking the ball down the line does heads in. It does my head in. It absolutely does. I'm not going to argue with any fan on that. But we need to improve the blokes that he's dishing this ball out to, because if, John Longmire said it, and I'll repeat it, if there's one footy in Australia, I'm paying Tom Mitchell every cent to go find it, because he could find it underwater, blindfolded with marbles in his mouth. He's unbelievable. But if the guys he's giving it to aren't using the footy that well, then he's going to look a bit more invisible than he needs to be, which is a shame. We've got to laud these blokes for what they do, not for what they can't do. And hopefully this longer kicking style and contested style of game that Sam wants to bring in will hopefully get Titch to get the ball out to better ball users. That's the hope.
I think we've got the talent around in the midfield depth if we can get it out to him. So I'm comfortable playing a role, and I think he can be a massive, massive contributor ongoing. So all good. Enough on that. Highlights for me are other players. Moore and Morrison played very well. Reece, anyone else that you had that was a standout?
Yeah, massive tick to those two. Dylan Moore took a bit of time to get into the game. Once he settled into his half-forward role, he looked like Dylan Moore of old, but geez, his first 2 kicks on Friday, I think he would have happily liked to have done those in the warm-up. Goodness gracious me, Dill. But yeah, Harry Morrison really impressed me. His effort running back with the flight of the footy solidified the fact that he knows that he's probably a career-defining year for Harry. I think he knows that, and I think in that one act he proved that he's here for the big time. But I want to give a shout-out to Jack Scrimshaw. First 2 periods of this game, he brought. I thought there were 2 footies out there, the one everyone else was using and the one he was kicking. He had it that often. He was fantastic. So this back six looks, it looks better than the performance we put out. Blake Hardwick didn't play a lot. CJ didn't play. Impey didn't play, although I expect he'll play more of a wing role. But Scrimshaw, big tick. Like you said, Moore and Morrison, big tick as well. So, plenty of good things to come across from an individual standpoint for sure.
One more individual young player, Long. Love the leg on that lad.
Yeah.
Look forward to seeing that for many, many years to come. So, copying a little bit of flack here. Sorry, this one. Yep. Sorry, Dom. My view. Let's have a beer at some point and talk that one through. But look, I hope he can continue to fire. So, all right, more Nuke talk. Look, composed, hands on ball. He's a bit of a bull, and that term's perhaps overused, but he really is bullocking. And I just think this stretch, and we hope to get Jai on talking Hawks before too long. Hopefully it might end up being around the first round of the season. And look, it'd be great to hear him, at that point, a full preseason through under the belt and see how he's feeling. So any other thoughts on Nuke?
I've got a bit of a conspiracy theory about Jai. I think he walks in the club on match day, he gets his keys taken off him, and they're locked into a box, and he's not given the code until he knocks 10 blokes over every time he walks out on the field. Because he just looks at blokes and he goes, only one of us has fallen over here, champ, and let me tell you, it ain't going to be me. He's a bull, and the foot skills inside 50, I think he'll improve on. He did get burnt by the fact that it seemed like the only time he was at the centre bounce, he was kicking into the wind. Against the wind, sorry. So he especially picked out Mitch Lewis twice in consecutive kicks that looked beautiful from the angle I was at, and the ball just died and ended up hitting Louis in the shin. So probably a touch unlucky there. Big tick. Whether he makes the round one side is going to be interesting to see what kind of pattern we go from, but I wouldn't be disappointed if a midfielder had to come out and Jai comes in. He's going to give 100%. We know how hard he tackles, and I think with another preseason under his belt, there's a most improved player award at Hawthorn, and I think he's one to watch out for in that sense. Not that it's probably way too early to predict, but I liked it.
Of all days, tell me if he does not channel the spirit of Lethal Lee Matthews, whose 70th birthday it is today. Lethal would just love. I'd love to hear him just sitting there, just giving us some commentary on Jai, just watching game. Watching him contest, I'm like, mate, Lethal would just be like, Lethal would say, there's the point post, mate. Just don't worry about it. Go. Just get the ball.
Yeah.
So
if there is a bloke that could break it, Jai would definitely be it. Fair amount of pressure on the lad. He's only got 926 goals to go, but look, fingers crossed, he can get there. But
take 900, all good. So,
we're not picky. Yeah, it's just 850 plus, Jai, and we'll let you in the fold. Beautiful.
All right. So there's more comments coming through. I just want to quickly touch on. So for mine defensively, you got down there, Reece. Look, Elliott got off the leash. I don't think there was
on anyone
aerial contest. I don't know if there was a leash, to be honest. But a little bit of perhaps pushing up the ground, learning the game plan. We're going to potentially cop that a little bit this year. Is my gut feel with trying to be offensive. There's going to be rebound ball that just comes in fast, and I think in Sam Mitchell's defense, albeit that said, last year Box Hill scored very highly, and we saw the boys in the last 3 quarters peg them back. So is the defense better when we've got more of the ball? It's a la, back to the golden era when we were possession footy. If they don't have the ball, they can't hurt us. So it'll be interesting to see how we handle that. But Jamie Elliott just calling that out, that hurt.
Well, there was a bloke that has finished best twice in our has finished runner up twice in our best and fairest that wears a number 15 that didn't play on him that day. So that probably helps a little bit because Dimmer would have absolutely made him look invisible as he's done in the past. So defensively, I think we're going to be fine defensively. It was our strength from last year. There's absolutely no reason why that just can't enhance. I actually kind of want to give a bit of a shout out to Kyle Hartigan too, because it looked like when Nathan Kruger was taking over the game, that Hartigan kind of got stuck with a bit of the blame. As soon as Kruger or whoever their tall was, I don't think Hartigan was on when Darcy Cameron came on, or Cox, Hartigan would be leaving his opponent. Sometimes he played on Elliott. He even had Lipinski when he went forward at one stage there, and he would come off his man and he would end up standing on the mark. And then a few fans were saying things like how it was Hartigan's fault. It definitely wasn't. He used his body really well, a bit like Chip Frawley in the sense of if we're using him to transition the ball from one end to the other, it can make me a bit nervous. But structurally, his importance to the side will not go under the radar because there are big boys in this competition that Denver's not there to stop yet. So I thought Kyle Hartigan was actually quite good. Didn't butcher the footy by foot at all. So defensively, I think we're going to be fine. And with CJ and Impey coming back, I mean, that's just more and more exciting.
We're spoiled. It's kids in the lolly shop when you're trying to pick that side. So, look, question from Benjamin. Round one, Rux. I can see probably at this stage, Reeves getting more opportunity to continue to develop. Interesting. It's a good combination for the future. I think we've got there. So you were there, Reece. Yeah. Thoughts?
Reeves was the better tap ruckman on the day. Max Lynch lined up better on Brodie Grundy, and that was going to happen. Former Collingwood teammates, but Max Lynch was jumping into Brodie Grundy's left ribs. It would have been in that quarter that he played on him a lot, which is something that Brodie didn't like. He was having to shift himself in the air, and Lynch was able to get a bit of ascendancy there. Reeves is a better tap ruckman. Max Lynch covers the ground a bit better. So it honestly just might depend on who the second ruckman is. If you've got a guy like we play Melbourne, so you'd want McAvoy on Gawn, whereas Luke Jackson's that athletic, you'd almost argue that Max Lynch would have to go up against him because Reeves just wouldn't be able to get him. So structurally, either of those two ruckmen, they're 2 and 2A in the sense of Ben McAvoy still the one, but yeah, our round one rucks, we got North. So we got Goldstein, older type ruckman, V McAvoy, older type ruckman. Callum Coleman-Jones is a bit bigger and a bit stronger than most second ruckmen, so we probably go with Reeves, to be honest.
Yeah. So, look, overall, watch this space as far as the rucks are concerned. So, look, disappointing first half. Came home with a wet sail in the second. Lot to read into it. Lot to not read into it because you're trying a few things. You're just getting kilometres into Jager and Titch's legs. As has been our informed fans, I think it's really good. Your contribution, guys. So, look, we will see. So we will touch on the Tigers Hawks game shortly, but we will wrap it up very soon. Box Hill, yes.
We've got our own moderators talking to us.
Thank you, Brooke. Thank you, moderator, legend extraordinaire. DJB, the white line fever never disappears. The boy walks out of the shower and he takes on the towel rail. So I think...
Hope he's not renting.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
It's going to be competitive for Denver to get a look in. And I don't think it's something that he'll back down from. So I think he's got a great running partner there in Sis. So don't know as far as when we might see more of Denver. He's training very well, speaking to the club. And, both Jai Newcomb and Denver Granger Barras that we support are doing well. So there might be a few spots in our syndicate. If you'd like to join to help sponsor them, it doesn't have to be a big contribution. We're just trying to get shake the tin a little bit and get behind them. But yeah, we want to get behind two young players and see them through their career. So more to come there with Denver, and hopefully we'll get him back on soon. So
Fingers crossed.
All right.
I'll tell you what I will say about Denver. Geez, I'd pay good money in round 1 to watch him go up to Cameron Zurhaar and just watch those two for 2 hours. Can we get Foxtel had a push red for Ed? Can we I don't know what the button would be. Can we just watch those two? Because Zurhaar doesn't take a backward step and he's good on the lip. Probably both of them would get suspended, so probably shouldn't be encouraging that on a family-friendly show, but it would be an interesting watch and I'd love to see it. Let's just go with that. As a footy fan, I'd love to see it.
Yeah. DM us if you're interested in finding out about how to get involved in the syndicate. So let's go to the VFL. Reece, I mean, we won't go into too much. Hopefully we can get some contributions this year. If you were an avid VFLW fan, supporter, attendee, training track watcher, or VFL in Box Hill, sing out, reach out. We would love to get some more input, intel, potentially get some contributions. So talkinghawks.com, we will have some articles through the year, but also, just being able to update what's going on. Sometimes the knowledge and the passion from on the sidelines counts for a lot. So, but Reece, what have we got? Frankston v Box Hill Hawks.
Yeah, we got the job done in the end. They kicked really straight, which is something that seems to happen against the Hawks a lot. But a 19-point win, 11-10-76 to 9-3-57 against Frankston. Local to me, address-wise, not team-wise, obviously a Box Hill fan. And I think they'll be happy to be good with the run. It was a pretty short break from the guys that played in the Morwell game versus this one. So I think they would have been on a minutes restriction. I think we would have looked at structure, and we're looking at 9 more scoring shots, which is probably the bigger takeaway than a 19-point win.
Yep. Look, and that's actually a good outcome and an omission from our earlier game. Scoring shots, we did outscore them. Sadly, just we'll get the accuracy dialed in as time goes on. So, Lewis, good grabs. Just, mate, like your golf game, son. Just straight through the middle, will you?
Actually, while I've got you, speaking of the thing I forgot to talk about, so this is a message to Mitch Lewis and Ben McAvoy. If I see either of you get outmarked by Jack Crisp again, there's going to be some frightening things happening because Jack Crisp is my height. I'm certainly not in the fitness of Jack Crisp is. Jack Crisp is my height, and you two are both mountains. Never let it happen again. There you go. It's my little drive-by. But yeah, I thought Mitch competed really well.
Definitely a drive-by clip, unrehearsed. There we go. The two of us, we're going to join Peps on Lace Out and get around the podcast and look at the preseason for the Hawks. So that will be coming up. Keep an eye out for Lace Out. And finally, last scoreline. What do we have? VFLW race.
Oh, that's good off the top of my head. 19-27-141 to, I think, 22-9-141 off the top of my head. That's math that works. Yep. That sounds about right. So we'll go with that. 15 more scoring shots, ended up in a draw.
Sorry.
That's good unrehearsed, isn't it? How good's that?
Sorry, mate. Put you on your toes. If that's wrong, my fault.
I actually think I've nailed that, but go on.
So, look, lots ahead. The AFLW, we've got our first player, very exciting. The club's calling out for those who would like to become foundation members, so check that out if you're interested. We hope to continue to support the club in that fashion. See some of these ladies come and go and kick some butt when they enter the AFLW.
Well, speaking of, mate, the VFLW girls, 9-14-68, and Darebin kicked 2 points. So we're kind of sending a message to sort of 3 people here. The VFLW competition, don't mess with us. The AFLW competition, we're coming to get you. And Gillan McLaughlin, I think you might have waited a bit too long before you let us in there. But once we get in there, I think we're going to be fine. So, yeah, more than happy to jump on the girls' bandwagon. And our 14th premiership might be coming from a different direction, mate. But I'm looking forward to seeing the girls and how they go.
Love it. Awesome. Well, look, let us bring this to a bit of a close. If you've got any parting thoughts, fans, let us know. We will continue to look at your responses post-show if you're tuning in, not live. But for mine, fans, what do you want to see from the Hawks v. the Tigers? I know this is an an amazing cause that they are playing for together. Down in Tassie, it's so it's a bit of a heart wrencher there after last year and the incidents. But look, it's amazing that the clubs are getting around a community, and a lot of amazing Tassie footy players have come through to both clubs. So, what are you hoping to see from the Hawks in that game? As you're chiming in with that, Talking Hawks do have a few sponsors. Base compression, but it's designed to aid your performance and, importantly, your recovery. If you're wearing compression gear, if you fancy yourself fitness-wise, check them out. The base compression tights will stay cooler, offer muscle support, recovery benefits for your training and game day activities. Basecompression.com. Check them out. Talking Hawks will benefit a little to help us do what we do. If you happen to purchase anything, go to the Talking Hawks website and check out the partnerships area. You get access to a code and a discounted price. So what have we come up with there as far as what the fans are wanting to see? More effort.
Yep.
Big one.
Full dress rehearsals, the 3 words there that I'm looking at. Absolutely. And this whole what if players get injured that hasn't come from Hawks fans, but this whole social media of, what if players get injured? I'd rather them get injured against Richmond than I would against North. 100%. So I'm with you. Go for it. And, I still want to talk about what we're going to do with Jacob, but I'll let the fans talk first.
Yeah. Brilliant. So, look, we will, I think, call it a night. Again, Talking Hawks looking to sponsor Denver, Granger Barras, and John Newcomb across the season. If you're interested, just DM us on any of our socials. Check out talkinghawks.com. If you're tuning in on YouTube, there's a few people that watch, quite a few actually, that are not subscribed. We'd love your subscription. So jump on there, hit the bell notification and see our latest as it comes out. Love these parting thoughts. And look, Tassie, it's a much loved ground for us area. I hope we can get some Hawks fans around. If you are local to Tassie or getting down there, go get to the ground, make a bit of noise, bring the brown and gold, and support them hard. So thanks for joining us this week.
So I've got your idea. Hang on, Matty. Just one more thing. The idea, I'll leave it with the fans and they can comment below. But this is I'm solving the problem, if it is a problem, of Jaeger O'Meara right here. 2014, I reckon it was, we played Collingwood and Jordan Lewis tagged Heath Shaw completely out of the game. And I think he kicked 5, but that's not the point. With guys like Jaden Short, we've got Dyson Heppels going to halfback. We've got Dane Zorko potentially going to halfback. We've got Scott Pendlebury going to halfback. What I want to see in this Richmond game, Jaeger standing next to Jaden Short and don't let him touch the footy for 2 reasons. One, scoring in AFL, the 2 biggest ways teams score right now since the 666 has come in has been clearances and from kick-ins. How do you stop the kick-ins? Kind of hard to because of these structures. But Jaden Short with no Bashahuli is their main facilitator, and at some point teams have got to catch on to the fact that you got to stop him. Jaeger is a threat in the air. I'm not sure how he goes with the set shot, but scoring almost isn't the issue. Let Jaeger roam around in the midfield, get his touches, but we need to stop Jaden Short from running 20 and kicking 60. He's got a big body. Jaden can't neglect Jaeger when the ball's going inside 50. Win-win. If Chad can play, get him in the guts, get good ball users inside the forward 50. I'd much rather see Jaeger have 15 to 20 and shut down a player than have Titch, Warple and Jaeger in every centre bounce, and maybe we look one-dimensional. So that's my fix.
Change of role. Like it. There we go, fans. Let us know your thoughts on that one. As a parting thought, thanks for joining us, Reece, tonight. Fans, as always, amazing to have you on board. Thank you from wherever you're tuning in from. Hearts go out to those in Queensland, Northern New South, Ukraine, Russia, anyone impacted there. But Talking Hawks all about connecting Hawks fans around the world. So hope you can join us again. And hopefully we'll be having a bit of a win to celebrate against the Tigers. Fingers crossed.
That'd be handy.
All right, Reece. Have a good one. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, mate. Been a pleasure.
Cheers.